Choosing the right contractor for a huge construction project, that is one of the highest stakes decisions a company can possibly make. You get it right, everything is smooth sailing, on time, on budget, a total success. But if you get it wrong, well, you're staring down the barrel of a disaster that can cost millions. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful model for making the right choice pretty much every time.
So let's just dive right in with a question that I bet we've all seen play out in one way or another. A company needs a contractor. They get 3 bids, and of course one is way lower than the others. The money people love it, the contract gets signed. But a few months later, the whole project is an absolute mess. Why does the cheapest option so often turn into the biggest, most expensive headache?
Well, the answer is all about the hidden costs. See, picking a contractor based on price alone is a massive gamble. You're opening the door to shoddy work, dangerous job sites, total nightmares with permits, and just constant frustrating delays. And every single one of those problems, it leads to rework and surprise expenses that just completely vaporize whatever money you thought you were saving. It's a textbook case of a flawed process.
But what if there was a way to look past that simple price tag? A method to systematically, objectively measure what really drives a project's success? Well, good news, there is. It's called the Analytical Hierarchy Process, or AHP for short, and it's designed to bring real structure and clarity to complex decisions just like this one.
So what exactly is AHP? Put simply, it's a structured way to organize and then analyze a big decision. Instead of trying to juggle, a dozen different things in your head at once, AHP helps you break the problem down into smaller, much more manageable pieces. You basically create a hierarchy, you compare the pieces, and the math itself guides you to the most logical, optimal choice.
And this is a perfect way to see how that breakdown is structured. Right at the top, you've got your main goal, select the best contractor. Simple enough. Then that goal gets broken down into the main criteria, the big buckets that really matter, like quality and safety. Then each of those gets broken down even further into specific sub-criteria. And then way down at the bottom, you have your alternatives, the actual contractors you're choosing from. It turns a messy, confusing decision into a clean, logical pyramid.
And look, this model isn't just some abstract theory. It's built on real-world, hard-won expertise. For this particular study, researchers went out and talked to 19 industry pros. We're talking experts in engineering, quality control, safety, people with anywhere from 5 to over 20 years of experience. AHP is the tool that lets you capture all that collective wisdom and turn it into something quantitative, something data-driven.
Okay, so here's the crucial part. How do we get from expert opinion to actual hard numbers? Well, the engine room of AHP, the real secret sauce, is a technique called pairwise comparison. This is where the magic happens, translating that subjective human judgment into objective mathematical weights.
And this is the fundamental challenge, isn't it? How do you compare apples and oranges? Is good quality more important than a low price? And okay, if it is, how much more important? It feels totally subjective, but AHP has this surprisingly elegant way to put a number on it.
This shows the process perfectly. Experts are asked to compare just 2 things at a time. So in this case, quality versus the financials. Using a simple 1 to 9 scale, which was developed by a mathematician named Saaty, they answer the question, how much more important is quality than the bid? A score of 1 means they're basically equal, a 3 means it's moderately more important, and a 9 means it's extremely more important.
Now, this isn't just a one-and-done kind of thing. This comparison process is repeated for every single possible pairing of the main criteria. Quality versus finance, quality versus safety, safety versus planning, and so on. By forcing this direct one-on-one comparison between every single pair, you build this really robust and complete picture of the real priorities. No stone is left unturned.
But what if an expert's judgments just don't make sense? What if they say A is more important than B, and B is more important than C, but then they turn around and say C is more important than A? Well, AHP has this brilliant, built-in logic checker called the consistency ratio. If that ratio creeps above 0.1, it flags the judgments as contradictory. This ensures the final data is reliable and sound. It's a fantastic little quality control feature.
Okay, so the experts made their comparisons, the data has been checked for consistency, so what did it all show? What are the factors that really predict success in a big construction project? Let's take a look at the final weights.
And here we have it. This is the big reveal, folks. Quality and execution are tied for first place, each making up a full third of the decision.
Safety is next, coming in strong at 20%. And then, just look at the bottom. Planning is only 9%, and finance, the actual price tag, is dead last at only 6%. This data is basically screaming that the bid price should only be about 6% of your total decision-making weight. That is a game-changing insight.
So why is that? Why are they so dominant? This quote from the research just sums it up perfectly. Excellent execution and high quality, they aren't just isolated factors. They directly impact everything else. A contractor who executes well is going to stay on schedule and on budget. A contractor who is laser-focused on quality is naturally going to have better safety performance. They're the absolute foundation of a successful project.
Of course, a model is only as good as its real-world application. So, the researchers put it to the test. They used this exact AHP framework to evaluate 3 real contractors who were all bidding for a project. And the results were crystal clear. After they assessed each contractor against all the weighted criteria, Company 2 came out as the decisive winner. They scored way higher than their competition. And here's the real kicker: Company 2 was not the contractor with the lowest price.
If you look at the detailed breakdown, you can see exactly why. Sure, another company might have scored a little better on the low-weight finance criterion, but Company 2 absolutely dominated in the areas that matter the most: quality and execution. And since those categories carry a whopping 66% of the total weight, their amazing performance there just propelled them to the top spot. The model correctly pointed them out as the best overall value, period. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway from the case study. The AHP model proved, with cold, hard data, what experienced project managers already know in their gut. The best contractor and the cheapest contractor are very rarely the same person. True value is all about quality, execution, and safety, not just the number on a bid sheet.
So, what's the big picture here? The AHP advantage is really about transforming how you make decisions. It gives you an objective, data-backed, and, this is really important, a defensible reason to choose a contractor that isn't the lowest bidder. It systematically cuts down the risk of those project-killing hidden costs by forcing you to focus on what actually predicts success. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. This framework, it's not just about construction. It's about a whole different way of thinking. In your own work, in their biggest decisions, what's the equivalent of the lowest bid? What surface-level number might be blinding you to the hidden costs and to the factors that truly matter for long-term success?